is up? We are back in black in the building. Shout out to everybody out there. You know what I mean? Did Jesus come back? Oh, no. Don't tell me he didn't. Oh, damn. Man, shout out to everybody out there at the Core Plantation. Shout out to everybody out there that's handling business and doing what they need to do to survive. We got a different topic today, but another topic of what we need to discuss. Another mass shooting. These shootings are popping up everywhere, so everybody needs to be safe. Everybody needs to have an understanding of what's going on. We're going to get into it, man. David No Compromise, James Youngblood, everybody out there, Shawnee, Eric, and Tasha, all y'all, man. Hey, I hope y'all was able to go check out that coach in Atlanta. Just saying nigga, and all this other shit. He wasn't in Atlanta. He's in Macon, Georgia. But he went up to Atlanta, and he didn't like that he seen a lot of black folk. Well, that's everywhere. We're going to chop it up today, man. We're going to have a good conversation, man, about these mass shootings and everything that's been going on. Let's get it. Man. Yeah, man, another mass shooting. I guess it was at a birthday party. At least 4 people dead and a multitude of injuries in Alabama. A mass shooting tied to a birthday party has left 4 people dead and a multitude of injuries in Dadeville, Alabama. State officials say the shooting happened around 10:34 p.m. Saturday. The Alabama Law Enforcement Agency said Sunday it was tied to a birthday party. Sergeant Jeremy J. Burkett said there were 4 lives tragically lost in this incident, and there has been a multitude of injuries. Burkett declined to provide more details, citing the ongoing investigation. One of the victims killed was a member of the Dadeville High School football team, said Ben Hayes, senior pastor of Dadeville's First Baptist Church. Hayes also serves as the chaplain for Dadeville Police and the Dadeville High School football team. He said the police chief asked him to go to Lake Martin Community Hospital to help with the crowd control and ministering students who had gathered. It's a very close, tight-knit community, Hayes told CNN's Isabel Rosales. Everybody knows everybody. That's why this is so difficult. It's because it's affecting everybody in the community. Hayes says students told him the shooting happened at a Sweet 16 birthday party. I knew these kids personally. Most people did, the pastor said. Among those gathered at the hospital, there was a lot of sadness, a lot of concern on faces. Hayes said, I think at this point it's a shock. He said, I think probably the anger will come. I think it's a matter of time to see how people respond to this. But right now things are quiet and we're just praying that it stays that way. A prayer vigil will be held at 5 p.m. Sunday outside First Baptist Church, Hayes said. What we've dealt with is something that no community should have to endure, Dadeville Police Chief Jonathan L. Floyd said Sunday. I also ask each of you to please do not let this moment define what you think about the city of Dadeville and our fine people. Dadeville population 3,000 is about 45 miles northeast of Montgomery. Alabama Governor Kay Ivey publicly sent her condolences to the community. This morning, I agree with the people of Dadeville and my fellow Alabamians, Ivey said in a statement to CNN. Violence crime has no place in our state, and we are staying closely updated by law enforcement as details emerge. The Alabama shooting happened the same day that shots were fired into a crowd at a park in Louisville, Kentucky. 2 people were killed, 4 others were wounded. The U.S. has suffered at least 162 mass shootings in the first 15 weeks of 2023, according to the Gun Violence Archive. That's an average of more than 1.5 mass shootings every day so far this year. The archive defines mass shootings in those in which 4 or more people are shot, including the shooter. So what y'all think about that? I can tell you what I think about that. First, my condolences go out to these families whose family members are losing their lives because of these mass shootings. Wherever it is and what is going on, it's always sadness that is brung to my heart. I don't want to see anybody get shot, no shootout or any of that. That's not the purpose of having a firearm. The purpose of having a firearm is to protect yourself against violence, not to incite violence. So we're going to go ahead and put that out there so nobody can change the narrative Another thing is, I feel like these politicians are politicizing each shooting, especially on the Democratic Party side. They want to ban guns. It's not guns, it's gun owners, and it's the mentality behind a gun owner. So that's what it is, and that's what it's about. I think these mass shootings are popping up more frequent. I think this is what I would call a cleansing, because sometimes these mass shootings don't even make sense. And it seems like sometimes they can be false flags. Even in false flags, people lose their lives. And I just feel like we have to have more of a conscious effort when we are coming together as a community, and not even just a community, as a family. If you have family members that are tripping and act a fool, and sometimes it's not good to invite them to your gatherings because you want it to be peace and tranquility. Sometimes I question people, do you want peace or do you want bullshit? Because if you want peace, you would gather yourself together before you are around other individuals. Sometimes your mind ain't right. I'm gonna say it one more time. Sometimes your mind just ain't right and you don't need to be around people. Sometimes you're just not feeling it. I know when my mind's not right and I don't want to be bothered, I don't subject myself to that type of atmosphere. You know what I mean? It all goes back to what I've been stating to my brother Dave for No Compromise. Intrinsic value. We have to start having value in ourselves. You can look at it from a conspiracy theory. Man, a lot of these mass shootings, and, you know, sometimes you'll have people within your circle that are agent provocateurs that will incite violence on purpose because they could be sent there to do that. You know what I mean? You don't know. The point is, people are losing their lives behind these mass shootings, and sometimes violence begets violence, and you have to think with your first mind, and your gut should kind of tell you the same thing, like, nah, man, that ain't even worth it. That's not even worth doing. But in my humble opinion, I think it is something more of, we need to have a more of a concerted effort to band together for prosperity. As Neely Fuller Jr. states, he talks about the four-wall effect. Sometimes we get together in the four walls and all we do is bitch and complain, and we don't embrace solutions. And if we don't embrace solutions, how could we ever grow? How could we ever move forward? You know, I was having this conversation. I was at 24 Hour Fitness, right? And I was having this conversation. Well, I walked into a conversation with one of my I would say associates, homeboy, whatever. He a trucker, and he come through, and he always sparks these in-depth conversations that people don't want to have. Very difficult conversations. And when I walked up, he was like, oh, there go my man right there. Man, I need you in this conversation. So I'm like, man, what's going on? He was having a conversation with a white lady, a dominant society lady. And we were talking about the trans movement and all that. And he was coming from the perspective of they're forcing femininity on black men and such like that. And I didn't disagree with what he was saying. And she just was like, I'm for the trans community and all. You know what I told her? Because she was like, well, what do you think? Because he wants you in this conversation. I said, I'm going to say this with love, but my question would always be, why is the LGBTQ community, they have all these resources, they have a hate crime law, all this other stuff, but black folk have been here since the inception of the United States of America Incorporated. We built this country for free with no repayment. We can't get a hate crime law? That's all I'm saying. We can't get a hate crime law. We can't get any of these benefits and tangibles that the LGBTQ community is getting. And I humbly said, I cannot walk in a woman's bathroom right now. I said, if I walked in a woman's bathroom right now and told the ladies in there I identify as a woman, the police would be called on me and I would go to jail. You know, that white lady, I thought she was going to get some resistance. And she's like, I never thought about that like that. I said, this has nothing to do with black people or men hating the LGBTQ community. This has more to do with, hey, how is this group able to surpass black folk who have been pillaged, raped, lynched, robbed, gentrified, redlined, right? For almost 500 years or so, and we don't have a hate crime bill. We don't have nothing put in place for us. All we have is benign neglect. And every time it's time for us to get tangibles or anything else, they mask it and say minorities. Well, you're a minority because you're a white woman. And I was like, and that's the biggest problem, because they're only forcing it on people like the black community, the native black community, and we're supposed to be accepting it, and we're so homophobic, and we're so this, and we're so that. But then when we say, hey, well, where's our hate crime bill? It goes back to, oh, you're transphobic. That has nothing to do with being afraid of a trans person or a homosexual person. This has everything to do with us getting what is deserving of us. We deserve a hate crime bill. How do you write a book, 100 years of lynching, and then sit up here and tell me that we don't deserve a hate crime bill? How do you not read Slavery by Another Name and don't tell us we don't deserve a hate crime bill? We don't deserve more than just a hate crime bill, but let's just start with that. How does that community so fastly get all these tangibles, but black folk are still here jumping up and down to the dominant society, which is the government, telling them, hey man, what's up with our hate crime bill? Then you put black people in positions of power, or fake positions of power, and they still do the benign neglect. So you tell me, how is that fair, right, indifferent? And she, you know what? She was just like, humbly, you're right. I got to look at that. These are questions that I should be asking the LGBTQ. I was like, yeah, because every time we try to hold them accountable, we're transphobic, we're homophobic, we're all these things, but we're not wrong. You know what I mean? And that's what I mean about, when I had that conversation yesterday, that lady was more shocked because I was giving her books. Matter of fact, there was a white dude that was like, hey man, like, can you give me some of the name of those books? Because fuck that, I need to be reading that shit. And I was like, why you say that? He was like, because man, white people need to know this, because, and I even said it, I said, that's why our story is never in the history books. But we could talk about, and every time we bring up slavery, anything that is in alignment with that, we are told by the dominant society, other racial groups, that happened so long ago, right? And they were like, right. And I said, okay, well, if that happened so long ago, why are we still talking about the dominant society Jewish Holocaust? With all respect, that was very terrible what happened to them. And that's fucked up. That shouldn't have happened. But that didn't even happen on this landmass, and we're still talking about it. And that didn't happen 10 years ago. But we're still talking about it, right? So if we're giving them that respect and that courtesy when it's time for black folk to hold the LGBTQ accountable, then we need the backing of other racial groups to say, hey man, they right. Y'all just popped up on the scene. I said, because in the 1600s, 1700s, how could there be an LGBTQ community when our overseers and our slave masters were basically the architect behind slave breeding? You had to breed. You had to be fruitful, multiply. And they were like, what does that mean? I was like, we had to breed. So how does that make sense? And the white lady was like, no, I didn't even think about that either. I was like, I'm just saying. These are just things that nobody wants to discuss, but these are things that are on the table. And I was like, and I just say it with love, because a lot of the times the deflection is something else. You know what I mean? And that just brings me back to my topic about the mass shootings. It's like they want to talk about get rid of guns. No. Look at the gun owners. Look at the mentality of the gun owners. People with guns kill people, not guns. Stop making it seem like guns are just waking up and growing legs and feet and arms and just shooting people. No. People with guns are doing this. It's the mentality behind the person that has the gun. That's just my perspective. A firearm is meant to protect you and your family within reason. That doesn't mean you go out and just be a vigilante about it. And I think that's where the problem lies. And in the black community, we're so in disarray at times. We don't problem-solving tactics. You know what I'm saying? Like we don't have problem-solving concepts. Like, hey man, maybe we should go up, because it's too much ego involved. You know what I mean? Everybody wants to have an ego, so we don't want to kill that ego, as my brother Craig Fax says, or we don't want to put that to the side for a second to see what is the best formula to solve this problem. Because really, conflict could be solved by sitting down and having a conversation, as long as it does not become disrespectful. Black folk, wake up, understand what's going on. We should be able to have disagreements without it turning into violence. And we have to understand they're going to politicize any type of volatile act we commit. So when we commit volatile acts, they're going to politicize it and they're going to put you on the Jumbotron. Y'all know what it is. Y'all know what it ain't. Have this discussion. Hey, everybody, you know what it is, man. I'm your boy Warren G, the place to be. Been Clown Sucker Free since 2003. Y'all already know what it is. Guilty, nigga. I'm out. Peace.